Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Trine Christiansen. I'm from the European Environment Agency, and I'm here to talk about the work we're doing on state of water, more specifically adapting to water scarcity, drought, and floods. I'd really like to apologize for not being able to be with you today. I'm sure you will have very interesting discussions, and I really would have liked to get to know all of you much better. In Europe, water scarcity is quite widespread. Almost all countries are affected by water scarcity, and water scarcity sits in a context of climate change where this is likely to get worse. It impacts biodiversity, it impacts pollution, and eventually it impacts all of us as humans. We've already seen quite severe examples of how this can happen. In 2022, we had an ecological disaster in the Oder River where a combination of drought and pollution caused a very widespread fish kill, which ended up coming at a very large cost and impacting the entire community along the river. More recently, we've had floods in Slovenia, but I think many of us also remember the floods in the Ahr River Valley with very large consequences for property and even loss of lives. Biodiversity is also affected. Here, I've chosen to focus on the conservation status of wetlands in the EU. These are habitats that are protected under EU law, but only 9% are achieving what we call good conservation status. There are many pressures impacting Europe's waters. From the work we're doing on river basin management plans, we know that the main pressures affecting surface water is hydromorphology and pollution from diffuse sources, pollution from point sources, and water abstraction. And we know that for groundwater, the main pressures is water abstraction, diffuse source pollution, and point source pollution. Although I'm showing you results here from the first and second river basin management plans, we do have results from the third river basin management plans underway, but unfortunately our analysis is not quite finished and I'm not able to share those results with you. However, what we are seeing is, and this is based on what the countries are telling us, is that diffuse pollution is primarily an agricultural problem. Point source pollution comes from urban wastewater, and water abstraction, depending a bit on the country, is either public water supply or agriculture. So there's some very important information to be gathered as part of these river basin management plans. If we go back and zoom in on water abstraction, we can see, we know which sectors are abstracting water. This is cooling water for electricity production, agriculture, manufacturing, or public water supply. In the case of cooling water and manufacturing, we've seen over this 20-year period for which we have data that actually the water abstraction has gone down, whereas for agriculture and the public water supply, we've not seen the same development, and in fact, maybe use has even gone up. In a context where less water is available, this increases the need to look at to increase the efficiency of water use, and this is across all sectors. It also increases the need to reduce the water demand, whether in agriculture, energy, or in the public sector. And this can be done, for example, through growing drought-resistant crops, by improving cooling water technique, or increasing the reuse of treated wastewater. What is also important is when we talk about the uses of water, we need to remember that it's not only about sectors, the environment also needs to have enough water available. Another thing that we can do is to have a larger focus on circularity. I'd like to focus here on the newly adopted revised Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, which has a focus on sewage. And so we normally think about sewage as waste, but in fact we can think of it as a resource and the possibilities for resource recovery. Some of the options for this are either transforming the waste into fertilizer, into energy, or into water that can be used for irrigation or other processes that don't require strictly clean water. And the one of the benefits of this is that actually it's independent of scale. It can be done both at a large scale or at a smaller scale. There are many opportunities for how this can be done much more effectively than what's happening today. We also need to have much more restoration. We have the nature restoration law underway, which targets different aspects of restoration of rivers and wetlands, and in particular, restoration of wetlands and free-flowing rivers. So I'd like to finish off by saying that one of our main challenges for the future is ensuring that there's enough water available for all purposes. And some of the things we need to be thinking about to achieve this is to have effective management of our water allocation schemes. We need to have innovation that improves our water efficiency. We need to improve our circularity, and we need to restore our aquatic and water-dependent habitats. And when we're talking about all purposes, this also includes the environment. With this, I'd like to thank you for listening, and I wish you a very nice day and very interesting discussions. Thank you very much.